Hey guys, BW here once again, and this is part 2 of the Emotiva Gen 3 products preview. Planning on picking up something myself, so join me with this little adventure here of buying my next piece of equipment, and I chose the Emotiva equipment. And for several reasons, when I'm looking around for audio equipment and video equipment, I'm looking to stay on a budget particularly, but I'm also looking for audiophile grade quality. So I'm looking for the best quality I can. I'm looking for a lot of power, not necessarily so I can, blow my speakers or have the volume insanely loud. I'm looking for power for efficiency and sound quality and the dynamics. So that's the reason that brings us to this video of looking at these products, these Generation 3 products, both the X series and the BasX line, have recently come out. They've started shipping between like 10/6, so October 6th of 17 up till 10/20, so October 20th of 2017. So they've got a few new products here that I wanted to talk about and show you, where we left off on our last videos. This is part 2 of the Generation 3 Emotiva products video. And I got a lot of things coming, so just to let you know, I got a review of this Kong Skull Island 3D Blu-ray here. It's not the 4K Ultra HD version, but lately I've been saving some money buying the regular Blu-rays and then just upscaling them, So we got master audio here, but we're going to be running the Dolby Atmos. So I'll be doing a review of this Blu-ray soon in the future here. And then I got a ton of stuff to come before I tear everything down, show you how to hook it all up again, show you some products. Got my Power Amp 3 video coming soon, and then wiring and all that needs to be fixed and hid and all that, so got a lot of stuff coming. But let me keep this short and concise and to the point. We left off last time with the MC700, I believe, so we'll get to there in this video here. This will be the last conclusion video to the Emotiva Generation 3 products preview, and join me on my little adventure of buying my next piece of audio equipment here. So I'm just gonna set you down here really quick, and we're gonna go through this together. But I want to kind of recap or give a little small introduction as to where we were with our last video. The X series has some new products out for the Generation 3, and that has to deal with their power amps. Particularly with the XPA power amps, they run XLR balanced connections. It's not something that I've gotten into yet. I don't have any XLR balanced cables, even products that are compatible with XLR balanced stuff. And just to quickly, talk about what that is, it's just another way of sending an analog signal. And usually it's a little bit more, cleaner of a signal, but particularly over long runs, in my opinion. With short runs in a room like this, of such small size, the character of the room, I really don't think adding XLR balanced equipment or cables would bring up the quality in any way, shape, or form. That's why at this point in my life, I'm not choosing to pursue XLR balanced equipment just yet. I'm sure all these power amps are wonderful. I've had a chance to hear each and every one of them at audio exhibitions and shows and whatnot. So I'm speaking from, past experience of actually hearing these. I'm not going to suggest anything that I've never heard in my lifetime. I'm not going to just show you a website of a bunch of products that I think are cool, awesome, great, affordable, go out and buy them, and then they sound like crap, and you tell me, what the heck, this is garbage. So I'm trying to keep you, looking at some stuff that I recommend would use in my own system. And the the XPA series from Emotiva has some new products out. Now we're sticking with the mono block reference class A/B mono block. This is an amazing amplifier, insane amounts of power. You know what that's for. Setting on the ground by each loudspeaker and powering it, mono that wise. And they got their classic XPA 2 Gen 3 now. So here's where it starts kind of with the Generation 3, and it's shipping 1015 to 1020. Two-channel version of the latest, greatest, modular amplifier that they make. And by modular, what I mean is, if we take a look at the back of this guy, I'm actually curious to see if he can be added. So he certainly can. So for $1,000, I would definitely get this thing. And the power ratings on all these XPA series amps are the same. So we'll go over that in a second, and I already covered that in the last video, but I just want to recap on this and show you that this is insane. I've never really seen a company that does this. You got Macintosh out there, you got Parasound, you got ATI power amps. There's a ton of power amps that are audiophile grade quality. but that aren't necessarily at the same price point or are as affordable as this. This is insane. For $1,000, you can, comes as a 2-channel, but you can add another channel, another channel, another channel, another channel, and another channel. So you can make this guy a 7-channel amplifier. You got the 2 right there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You could do a total of 7 with this guy. So that is unique. Got the removable power supply there, got a reset button, trigger in and out. The status LEDs on the front, the nice big switch. So for $1,000, you cannot go wrong with this thing. Let me just cover the specifications of all these XPA power amps. They're all the same, but if you get into the ones that have the 9 and the 11 channels, you're going to start to lose a little bit of power with a few of those channels. And let me talk about what that is really quickly. Just a recap of the last video. We're talking 300 watts, guys, 20 to 20 at 0.1 and 8. And then, like as you can see, all models front 2 channels rated, 2 channels driven, 20 to 20, 0.1, 300. That's insane. And when we get into the other, and look at the signal, total harmonic distortion plus noise, guys. Come on, that's just insane. That is insane. So that's why I want to just recap on these XPA series. I'm gonna get one day. I will, and it would be that over the like A50 or 51 of the Parasound. I can't remember exactly. The Parasound's a little bit more expensive. THX certified though, so yeah, we'll talk about that some other day. We got the Gen 3 XPA 3. In my opinion, that would be great. I would use that for the front 3 channels. So a center, a left, and a right. That'd be perfect, matching up all the front 3 channels, all with the same amount of power. Keep it all great quality audio, and yeah, immense amounts of power, guys. 300 watts. Moving on down the line, we got the XPA 5 Gen 3, shipping soon. 5-channel, but when we take a look at it's a little bit more unique than the XPA 7 because I talked about that modular building up system. You can take this 5 and make it a 7 someday. And when you look at the price difference of the XPA 5 versus the 2-channel one, well, yeah, not that. I mean, you're paying $600 more for an extra 3 channels with the ability to add 2 more in it. So you got to be kind of careful on which one you buy here. That's why I kind of wanted to go over this. And then it brings us to our XPA 7. Now, we look at the back of this guy. I wouldn't necessarily recommend him too much, just for the fact that you can't upgrade him in the future. And all those are the same. All those modules are 300 watts root mean squared. That's unbelievable. So, they do a great job with their aesthetics, their build quality, those trial transformers inside of those guys. So, switchable mode power supply type deal. Just wonderful products. So, brings us to a brand new one. The XPA 9 and XPA 11 are brand new for Generation 3. These amps have never existed from Emotiva before. A little bit unique, though. And I talked about the ability to pay monthly with Emotiva. That's really unique. Not a lot of audio companies are letting the consumer do that, pay monthly based on a credit rating check, I'm sure, and then possibly interest beyond that. But as I said before, all the XPA series or X series power amps from Emotiva are going to be ran best with XLR balanced connections. I wouldn't buy these guys right now with my setup necessarily to run RCAs, but I'd buy this, say, in the future to upgrade the stuff and then send that out. Because you need a receiver, guys, or a pre-pro processor type deal to send the signal out of via XLR to go into these guys. But looking at the back of here, you notice that there's one channel, another channel in the same amplifier module. And that's because those are different power ratings than these guys. So you got a positive and a negative right here, the same. So 300, 300, 300, 300, 300. Then we get a little bit different. So that's why it's a little bit unique, but those would probably be great, guys, for height channels. That's what this amplifier is designed to do, in my opinion, is to run a Dolby Atmos DTS X type setup where you can utilize all your front, say, floor layout speakers right here, and then heights like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4 heights with a power amp. That's going to be insane. So this would give probably the best quality of audio to any home theater utilizing this in an Atmos DTS X setup. So, I mean, it's just insane. I highly, highly recommend this guy. And when we go down to power ratings here, I just want to clarify this. It's a little bit unique in terms of the power because we got those other amplifier modules in there. So they differentiate between the power in them just a bit. And I'll show you that right here. I believe I showed you this in the last video too, but let's just recap on the power to those. So I'm looking for wattage real quick. And, 53 pounds, guys. But when we look at wattage based on those other amplifier modules, we're going to see this. So you got to kind of look around for it a little bit on this product, but I don't think they're hiding this from you, but buyer beware that it is 300 watts for all those single channel amplifier modules in there, and then it's got those they're actually 65 watt 2-channel modules, amplifier modules. So what that brings is a total of 5 channels at 300 watts per channel, which is amazing. I don't think you'd ever even utilize anywhere near half of that. But the 4 channels at 65 watts, that's a little weak, but when we're talking height channels, that's more than enough. So for $2,000, you got your XPA 9 Generation 3 brand new product, wonderful. $176 per month, starting with a good credit rating. I can't pass that guy up in the future. I'd have to plan my life around that almost, or at least buying that. That brings us to the last power amp from the X series, and then I'm going to move into the BasX series and where I left off in the last video. But that's kind of confusing. The XPA 11 Gen 3, same price as the 9. Let's just go back here and confirm that real quick. So $2,000 for XPA 11 Gen 3, and let's see here. For the XPA 9, yeah, we're at the same price, so I can't see myself getting the XPA 9 over the XPA 11 at the same exact price. If it'll do 11 channels, which it does, of power, of amplification, I got to go with the XPA 11, guys. Now, I think what you could do in the future, or at any point, is replace these modules. Instead of 2, you could probably replace these with those. So just have the regular 300 watt power amp modules in there. But yeah, we're talking 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 channels right there. I'm guessing at the 65 watts. I'll go ahead and confirm that. But then 1, 2, 3 with the regular. So that's why it's a little bit different. A little bit different than the XPA 11. So I'm sorry, the XPA 9. So they're giving you a little bit different options here. You got more amp modules here with the 65 watts than you do with the other power amp. So that's why I said I'd go with the 11, just because I'd rather power more channels with the height layout. But these are similar amplifiers with, a lot of difference, though. A lot of difference to them. They're at the same price, but let's just recap that real quick. When you go look at the XPA 9 Gen 3, and I take that back. I said I'd prefer the 11, but for higher quality, I guess, in a home theater listening type setup, more dedicated to the audio than the video, I'd probably go with the XPA 9 for the same price, because you're getting more of the power amplifier modules at the 300 watts than you are at the 65 here. Now, I want to just confirm before we move on to the BasX series that the other, the XPA 11 is actually 65 watts per those other channels. So I'll just check that out and confirm that real quick here. That'll conclude our little X series line of, so 65 watts. So that's a total of, as we're seeing here, of our 300 watt single channel amplifier modules and 4 of the 65 watt 2-channel modules there. So total of 3 channels at 300 and 8 at 65. I'd rather go with the 9, which offers 5 and then 4. So 5 channels at 300 and 4 at 65. So let's just check out this last product, though. It's a Generation 3, but it's probably one of the best, one of my favorites out there, ranging from $1,000 to $2,000, guys. You build it up the way you want. I'd have to go with this, and I'd probably buy it just the way it is set up right here, and then add probably a 2-channel module. So that would give you 2 channels out of just this one module right here with 65 watts. So that'd be amazing. I'd be doing 1 channel, 2 channel, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that'd be more than enough I would require. Then with an extra 2-channel power amp, 11 channels right there. So that'd be everything I would need. And for that price, I'm sure you could starting at $88 instead of the $176. So I highly recommend building your own one tailored to your, to your configuration or needs, because man, you cannot go wrong with these amplifiers. As I said, I've heard them all in the past, seen them up close, got to play with them. But that kind of concludes the X series of this video, and I want to take you on my little adventure with me of my next purchase here. So I'm going to go to products, and I'm going to go to the BasX series. This is kind of a new series that they came up with in the last, I believe within the last 2 years. 2 years ago, I don't think you would have found any BasX series from Emotiva. I first actually learned about this at Exponia audio event in Chicago in 2016. So at Exponia, I saw all these products for the first time. There were a few missing, like this one hadn't been out yet, and I think this one wasn't out. But the power amps were there, and we left off in our last video at the MC700. So that's why I'm going to go over this thing once again, guys, give you a preview of this 7.1. I don't believe it'll do 0.2, so I don't believe it'll do 2 subs if we take a look at the back of it. But that's its main downfall, in my opinion, is 7 channels only. But if you're running a 7-channel layout system, this thing has got to be more than adequate. I left out the XPA one, I believe it's called. That's their X series line of the pre-pro, but I believe I covered that in my last video, guys, so we're not going to go there in this one. But, you know, so limited to 7 channels, that's great. But the main downfall, we do have an XLR for a sub there, but the main downfall is not its second sub that it can't do. It's not that it's got 7 channels. It's the fact that it's not Dolby Atmos DTS X compliant. So it will not decode Atmos or DTS X, guys. It'll pass through the HDMI 2.0 and the high definition copy protection 2.2, multiple analog and digital inputs. But it's a great pre-pro processor type deal. This is wonderful, and probably a backbone, in my opinion, to any good quality audiophile, audio and video system. So this thing is a great product, guys. I don't know for a fact if it'll actually upscale, but at least it supports, and we got the 6 HDMI inputs total, and 3 of them, so half the HDMI inputs will pass through the 4K. But how many people are passing through more HDMI cables than 3 that are running 4K? That'd be a lot of stuff. But yeah, so unfortunately it doesn't include the Atmos or DTS X. So I wouldn't go with this guy. That's just my own opinion. But for keeping things, top-notch quality, this is a great product. It doesn't have the same room correction as the XPA, which has got the direct live. But it's got its own, so unique one. Video on standby, flexible, quadruple bass management. So that's unique. Manual equalization controls, Bluetooth 3.0. But you gotta have that aptX, yep. And then I believe it doesn't do Bluetooth right out of the box. You gotta actually buy a Bluetooth adapter. Yep. So you got to buy their Bluetooth dongle specifically too. So that's another downfall of it. It will do the high dynamic range 10 support, but what are we missing here, guys? Yep, you got it exactly. No Dolby Vision. It won't pass through even. So if you put a Dolby Vision source into this guy and then pass this guy out of to your display, won't be having that Dolby Vision. So this guy I probably wouldn't go with, guys, but look at the price on him. He is affordable. For $600, you almost have to take a look at that guy if you're trying to build a great system. So I'm going to move on here quickly, and then we'll conclude this video. Just a preview to the Emotiva Generation 3 products. But this guy ships late October. He's a newer guy. I'm not going to really cover him in this video. These are both kind of similar things. This has an integrated amplifier in it. This is just the tuner, DAC, and preamp. So if you're missing a preamp, this would be a great one. But this guy can actually connect speakers to it. Not much power, but hey, audiophile grade quality sound, man. So have to say, guys, this is the most, so when I bought my power amp, I really searched around for one that would be budget friendly and one that had immense amounts of power to really bring up the quality of the system. And when looking for a power amp, your goal shouldn't necessarily be more power than what your amplifier or receiver already has existingly. It should be the quality. Now, when we're talking about amperage, though, this guy was the best choice, in my opinion, because he was the only BasX power amp that offered 150 watts both channels. And this is the same power amp that's sitting right there that I just showed you. And I really thought about this quite a long time before I made this purchase, and I'm really glad that I did. So I'm speaking from the heart here when I tell you that I'm glad I bought this A300 with the 150 watts, mean squared per channel at 0.1 and 8. It gives no no hiss, buzz, 60 hertz hum, nothing. And it's a built like a tank, guys. It doesn't do biampable, speaker output. So there's not 4 outputs on the back. So if you're looking to buy amp, it won't do it. But I've usually got it connected to my SVSs, which aren't biampable, bi-wireable anyway. Or I run a Rocket 33 AudioQuest speaker cable out of this guy into my CAF speakers by wired. So this guy's really universal. He'll work great. I have to say, he's the best power amp on the market for that price. I haven't found to this day another one that can beat that guy. But that brings us to the other power amps from the BasX series, because if you look at this guy, like half the wattage. And usually that number here will kind of signify how much wattage it has. So I'm guessing this guy's got 150 watts total. They are built the same. A little bit different power supply in here than the A300, but yeah, we're talking 75 watts and 150 at 4. So 20 to 20, 0.1, 75 watts. This would be a great power amp, though, for some height speakers. It'd be an immense amount of power for height speakers, but you got your A150 there for 300. I'm sorry, not 400. So 300, 400 right there. So it's a price increase, but it's worth the power, in my opinion. You got this flex amplifier, great amplifier, a little bit odd type of, the size of it's a little bit unique, so it's a little bit smaller, but that guy was really in my consideration when I was looking for a 2-channel amp, because 50 watts per channel in the 8, Class AB. So for analog stuff, guys, I really, really highly considered this guy over the A20 integrated amplifier you see sitting right here. And to be quite honest with you guys, the only reason I didn't buy him as opposed to getting this guy was a little cheaper. I got him on a deal. Had this guy been out, which it wasn't at the time, I would have definitely gone with that guy instead, the Emotiva, as opposed to the Pioneer Elite there. The only difference with the Pioneer Elite, and I'm still kind of glad I went with the Pioneer Elite, guys, because you can run a total of 4 speakers off of him. So for height speakers, for sending a pre-out off of my Marantz into the integrated there, you can actually run 4 fronts or 4 rears or bi-amped. I can't do that with this. So for a 2-channel stereo amp like that, I was really looking for the highest quality I could possibly get for under like $300, and I had to go with the A20 from Pioneer Elite because of the ability to bi-amp my CAFs or my Polks or the PSBs or the Q500s I was hoping to buy one day. So that's the downfall of him. Like I said, he's not bi-ampable. You can't send a bi-amp signal. So that's what you got in the back of this guy. You can run them in both countries like that, 230 or 120 or 115. But built like a tank, guys. It's a trial transformer in there. The thing is huge. Those caps there, fans on board, which don't even operate until the thing gets into like protection mode almost, just to cool it down. So those don't even run. And I've had a chance to see this guy in this condition with the top off of it and plugged in running, and it does not create a lot of heat. Which also is what I want to say about the A300 and their other power amps, the BasX line particularly. So we got 80 and a 4, 50 and a 8. Beautiful little power amp, though. Not power amp, little stereo flex amplifier. Beautiful, though. But that's what I wanted to say about the BasX power amps, guys. I've owned mine for a long time, had it on forever, and it never dissipates or creates any heat. I'm not kidding. It never really does. So that brings the BasX line to an end of the stereo 2-channel power amps. And that brings us to these guys. These are the options you've got. I'm going to start with the A500 and move up the line here. A500, 110 watts per channel, 8 ohms, guys. Great choice at $400. Oh man, I would have gone with him if I was trying to look for the most power I could into 5 channels and the best total harmonic distortion plus noise or signal to noise ratio. But 110 watts per channel. Only thing is, when we look at how much power is going to all 5 channels at once, yeah, of course, just like every other company, they list it with 2 channels driven. Because if we look at power, 2 channels driven, 110. All channels, 80. So, yeah, all channels driven. So that means also your front channels are only going to be 80 watts if you're using all 5 channels. Only using 2, that's actually less power than the A300. So that is why I really thought hard about that A300 and chose him as opposed to this guy. This guy would be great. I still would love him sitting in my room here or in the dedicated theater build soon when that's done. So it can't go wrong. But I'm going to move up to the A700 now and talk about this. This is hard. This is where my decision kind of lies too, guys. For 600 bucks, a 7-channel power amp with this kind of rating and power wattage really is insane. And when you're looking, I'm not going to go into detail about this now, guys, but it really comes down to the signal-to-noise ratio, the amount of the total harmonic distortion, and the noise floor and everything of this guy or these amplifiers. That's what stands them apart from other amps and whatnot. It's the performance that they can do. But once again, we're listing at 2 channels driven here, 110 watts. So let's take a look. I wonder if you're going to say it's 80 watts, all channels driven, just like our last friend there. And yeah, we're going to see 80 watts, all channels driven. So 7 channels at 80 watts isn't bad. But like I said, again, I was still looking for a little bit more power than my receiver could do with those 2 channels. And for 110, well, that's less power than my receiver puts out for the 2 channels. So, not the best guy. I highly recommend the A700, but not the best for the 2 channels if you're looking for like stereo quality. I was really looking for stereo quality and then build up the system after that. This is really unique. The A800 is extremely unique. For 500 bucks and 44 bucks a month, this guy is unique. He's a little odd, in my opinion, because he'll do 4 channels bridged or 8 channels at not significantly low power, but not the greatest amount of power. Again, built like a tank. All the BasX models are, and all the Emotiva products are. Looks wonderful. That beautiful brushed aluminum faceplate front, like all the other companies are going with nowadays. That brings us to specs. This guy's a little unique. 8 separate channels of amplification. However, pair of stereo bus and books can be used, blah, blah, blah. Trigger, yes, we got all that. But they claim this guy is perfect for running multiple pairs of speakers in different locations or rooms. I'm not necessarily doing that or looking for that. I've got other stereos, I've got other receivers, got other power amps for other rooms. So I don't necessarily need something in one room that's going to power other rooms. I'm looking for something that stays in that room and is meant to drive that Atmos DTS X stuff to the max. So I can't necessarily recommend this guy if you're trying to do the best system in one room, but highly recommending him for up to 2 rooms like this. And he's perfect for in ceilings or in walls, but up to 4 different zones. So he's really unique. I think they made this guy to really saturate the market with different types of power amps that would really reach a different different needs. So a little unique here, though. 50 watts RMS per channel at less than 0.03 in 8. That's 2 channels driven. So this guy's unique. He's not the best amount of power. Great, I'm sure, for running height channels. You could get 8 out of them. So that's insane. If you're running a dedicated home theater and you need more than the average setup that your pre-pro processor is going to run, you just amplify all channels like that. But at 8 channels, all channels driven, guys, 35 watts. That's not that great. That's kind of sad in my opinion, especially for something that Emotiva's putting out. But hey, look, when we're at bridged mode, 4 channels, 100 watts. I still would have to go with the A500 though to get the more wattage. It makes sense if you're trying to do an Atmos type setup, because you could run all 5 speakers on the floor, say, with the A500, and then pick the A300 or something else like the A150 there to do some fronts or surrounds or whatever, add it to that, or add some heights. So he's unique, 50 watts, 2 channels driven. Man, that's low. But so I don't necessarily recommend the A800 because he's really unique for zoning and stuff like that. But that brings us to my choice, guys. I couldn't pass this guy up, and I've been searching for a long time. So that's why join me today in this, making this an addition to my home theater. So I've got a 2-channel power amp right now, and yes, believe it or not, I even went with a damn second A300. And I did that because I wanted him in another room. And currently I keep him in another room. However, it hasn't made much sense right now to add him to this room, but I think it would look beautiful sitting next to my other A300, and I want to do that soon and post a video on that soon. Powering, say, my 2 surrounds, and my 2 fronts. But that's why, guys, it brings us to this. Let me talk about this really quickly. $800, $71 per month, free shipping, and a 30-day trial. So if you don't like any of their stuff, send it right back. But this guy, once again, built like a tank. I'm guessing twice the size of the A300 in terms of height, though, not width or anything. A lot heavier, which is nice, too. But just look at that. Beautiful build quality. If you're not running XLR, this guy, gotta recommend. Almost one of the best power amps for the price out there, guys. Which brings us to wattage. This last number here, 5175. It's a 5-channel power amp at 175 watts. I know this because I've looked into this guy so much and have been waiting to buy it with you guys. Yeah, specs to back that up. 175 per channel, less than 0.1 into 8, okay? So, it's different than the 0.03, but, you know, 2 channels driven. Okay, then you asked, what about all channels driven? It's a 5-channel power amp, Mr. Puppy. What about that? Let's take a look here. This thing is wonderful, guys. Class A, B output stage, just like the A300 or any of their other power amps. Same as the X line is going to be Class A, B. But when we talk about 2 channels driven, we're at 170, 250 and a 4. But 125, that's great. That's wonderful. Let's look at the power bandwidth of this guy. I'm looking at every aspect when I buy a power amp like this. Everything comes into play. Everything. And that total harmonic distortion plus noise is really what I'm paying attention to in terms of the performance quality of it. 0.07%, guys. Yeah, at rated power, too. Signal to noise, 115. Weighted, reference rated power. Unique. This guy is insane. He won't do 2 ohm speakers. Never even seen the need for 2 ohm speakers, though. Not many do. Damping 5. We got audiophile 5. So it won't bi-amp won't bi-amp to speakers, but rarely do you see a power amp that you're going to bi-amp, because then you're taking up the different, connections. I recommend bi-amping more or less from an AV receiver and then sending out RCAs to a power amp, guys. But this guy, yeah, 36, almost 37 pounds. Have to do it, guys. I can't pass him up. I've been waiting for him. I even actually, I could confirm this real quick, but I even actually went through the trouble of putting, and this is unique about Emotiva. Let me just say this really quickly. Emotiva allows you to pay with an Amazon type of credit card or payment ability. So you can pay through Amazon, which I take full advantage of. I've got the Amazon Chase credit card through Chase Bank, and then I've also got the Amazon Prime store card through Synchrony Bank. And yeah, I even went through the trouble of adding money in my PayPal account so that we could buy this guy today. Can't wait to show you him. I'll let you know how long it takes to come here. There's no reviews on it yet, so you can damn well bet you that I'll be the first one to do a review. Haven't actually done a review on the A300 yet. If you'd like me to do a video on that, I will. I've been waiting to do that because I've got to tear all this stuff down and build everything up from scratch. I'll even elevate the damn speaker cables just to show you that that is actually nonsense. Talk to my father, go into his listening room. Everything will be elevated with cable elevators, XLR balance stuff, tubes like crazy, freaking suspended turntable. And myself having a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, but also my father being an electrical engineer, that we both argue about that stuff as to why do you elevate the damn speaker cables and why do you got to have a freaking gas charged suspended turntable.